John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Hello, everyone. This is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Alchemalon Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care about the things that we do. And once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out and listen to uh, the little stuff I'll be saying. Hopefully, something I say kind of catches your ear and hopefully you can benefit. But first of all, I just want to start this afternoon off with just being appreciative. I want to just thank God for waking me up this morning and what they say, start me on my way. Allow me to be able to see a brand new day. And in that, I often tell people what we sometimes fail to realize that if the Lord don't see fit to wake us up, we just we're not here. But when He allows us to see another day, He puts us in a position to get it right, to mend some of the relationships and the changes and problems and different things that we have been through. Sometimes we owe an apology to someone and been putting it off. And sometimes we just have to take a good look in that mirror. And sometimes we always want to point that finger at everybody else. But I mentioned it to my friend the other day, and I said, Piaka, what am I doing? And I took and did my finger like this here. And he said, you pointing. I said, at who? And he said, at me. I said, who else? He said, well, those other three fingers is pointing back at you. So sometimes we always have a tendency to want to blame and put the blame and point the fingers at everybody else, but not take the responsibility of sometimes the mistakes that we have made. So, on that note, I just, just sharing and just want to be grateful because I don't even have to be here today, but the Lord saw fit and gave me another chance. And in doing that, I think about it and I watch. I have a tendency to watch. If you watch, listen, and learn, a lot of people like to watch and talk, and they like to do a whole lot of talking. But you learn more when you listen. And if you take the time out and just listen to what's going on around you, you learn a whole lot of stuff. Because, and then sometimes when somebody's trying to tell you something, you're trying to tell somebody something, don't nobody really get it because you got two people talking and nobody listening. So sometimes you just have to be quiet, be still, and listen to what's going on. And today I just want to mention about how often, I look at the children, I look at husband and wives, and like I say, point fingers at others and taking things for granted. We often say, sometimes my partner and I, Mr. Cofield, entitlement, like somebody owed us something. But my father have always told me, John, people don't have to care enough about you to do anything for you. So when they think something about you, think enough of you to want to do something for you, appreciate it. Even in business, when people come here to patronize the business, I make sure that if I don't do it all the time, I try to do it the majority of the time. Thank them for supporting. Thank them for choosing to do business with me because they don't have to. They could take their little money anywhere because it's their money and they can spend it anywhere they want to spend it. But when they think enough of you to take the time out and come and patronize your business, let them know that you appreciate them. I mean, even if it's not a business, when somebody think enough of you to do something for you, let them know that you appreciate them. It's everything that we do. Sometimes you could teach just by not saying something. Sometimes you got to know when to hold and when to fold. You got to know when to talk and when to listen. And sometimes it might be even better to not even say anything in a lot of cases. And I watch children and parents and how they interact with each other. And I've heard and seen sometimes children, and you're trying to tell them, and or even in a relationship, the boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wives, or whatever, you're trying to tell them and help share something to make things a little bit better for them. And the word "I don't care." I mean, that's a rough word. That's kind of harsh. But if you don't care, how do you expect someone else to? If you don't care about what road you have chose to go down and the changes that it is causing you to go through, why do you think somebody else should care? In my coming up, I have heard that word quite often, didn't like it, but I've heard it and had to deal with it. But what I find myself doing is when the person tell me that, well, I don't care. I don't care. I said, well, I do. And I care enough about you to take the time out of what I'm doing and stop and try to share a little something with you that might help. I want you to know that you don't have to keep making those same decisions, those same mistakes. And often they come right back at you. I don't care. I said, well, how do you come to someone and ask them for help or help you do something when you don't even care and think enough of your own self to try to make the change? So, what I'm saying to you is to think enough of yourself and others to try to do something to make that change. Unfortunately, today I'm kind of busy doing a lot of stuff and I'm trying to intercede and do things with others and help people. And sometimes, how do you help people sometimes when you can't help your own self? But what that goes back to is you care. You care enough about other people to stop doing and helping and doing what you need to do for your own self to try to help them. And then you still get, I don't care. I don't care. And I have told people at one time or another, I know, I have come to realize that you don't care. Because I know if you did, maybe you would start making better decisions. You often hear me say, making those decisions, pimp decisions, doing what's good for you rather than doing what's good to you. Everybody like to do what's good to them. Everybody like ice cream. The flavors, vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, Superman, all that different stuff. Blue Moon or whatever. But if you got sugar, you have to either eat it in moderation. You can't just take a pint or half a pint or a gallon of ice cream and try to eat it just because it's good to you. Because sooner or later you're going to keep eating and eating and eating and you're going to make yourself sick. And you're going to end up in the hospital. And then when you get in the hospital and what they say, stuff hit the fan and you have to go through all of those changes, think about what you've been telling people. I don't care. We don't care too much about a whole lot until we find ourselves going through those changes. Till we find ourselves laying in the hospital bed or find ourselves and lost a job, can't pay the bills. And maybe every now and then we take a few minutes out and think about all this time I've been talking about I don't care. I don't care. And do you see and realize where I don't care has gotten you? Don't you think it's time to start making a better decision? So when you get to the crossroad, which way do you go? My Bible says, choose ye this day whom you're going to serve. So we serve the right passage, and it could be big as day. The sign could say, this is what's good for you. This is the way you need to go. And then you got another sign that say, this is good to you. It may not be good for you, but it's good to you. It makes you feel good. You, I mean, live today like it ain't, there's no tomorrow, one day at a time. But you can still do that one day at a time, but you still want to do what's good for you. Because good to me can have an everlasting effect. A friend of mine, unfortunately, was a drug addict. Unfortunately, he's gone today. And I've talked to many of drug addicts, and I asked them, why do you keep doing the same thing? Can't help it. Hook is a sickness. Think about something you have a taste for, you crave. A pregnant woman craves for pickles, or ice cream, or cookies, or something, or an individual loves German chocolate cake, so he eat it as often as he can. But it's not at a point that you just got to have it every day. Well, unfortunately, a drug addict realizes it's not good to him. He realizes it's not good for him. But it's at a point where his body craves it, no matter how bad they try to stop. Sometimes the withdrawals and the trying to deny yourself is just too strong, and you can't get to what you say. You just get to the point where you can't help yourself. But there is a higher power. If you just trust and believe, you do all you can. And in some cases, maybe you had to go check yourself in a rehab or something of that sort. Sometimes you have to get some kind of help. But if you trust and believe in God and know that He can do anything but fail, along with Him, you can take Him everywhere you go. You can take Him to the rehab center with you. My brother, he was an alcoholic. And I used to ask him, I said, well, why don't you just quit? Well, see, unfortunately, it's easy for us to say that. Why don't you just quit? Because we don't understand that crave. We don't understand that need that the body has. So we could tell them and ask them, but my brother told me, said, John, you just don't understand. He said, I've tried so many times. And then I said, well, why don't you try Jesus? Well, you just put it in His hand. So I've tried that too. Everybody is not as strong as you. So what I'm saying is have a little patience. Take a little time out and you keep praying that they change and put it in God's hand, because He can do anything but fail. And you have the patience and try to wait. You don't have to keep putting up or dealing with the situations. You get to the point where I've done all that I can. I'm just going to put it in God's hand and try to understand what they are going through and have the patience to go through it with them. And even though they tell you they don't care, be okay with letting them know that you do care. And that's what I often tell people when they tell me they don't care. I say, well, I do. So hopefully today I said something to encourage you, something to give you to think about, and based upon decisions that you make brings about the consequences. Thank you for listening to John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the El Cumulan Village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we care. Thank you. Have a great day.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience. Saturdays and Sundays, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. A Kubalan Village presents youth field trip events Fridays 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Ages 5 to 17. $10 per person. Minimum 10, max 15. Saturdays and Sundays 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. $200. Minimum 10, max 15. Includes a Kubalan special, hot dogs, chips, and punch. Akubalan Village's activities and amenities: air hockey, pool table games, video games, foosball, karaoke, movies, TV, cafe. Located at 7701 Harbor Avenue in Detroit, Michigan, 48213. For more information or to schedule, call 313-921-1616, 313-921-1616. Credit cards, checks, cash apps, and Zelle accepted. It's our pleasure to serve you. Culinary pleasure. Have your next social event here at Akubalan Village. Recreation, Entrepreneur Cafe, Culinary Pleasure, Recreation, Education, Culture. For more information, call 313-921-1616, 313-921-1616. John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Hey, this is Tony David Moore, and now I'm a part of the LDWC Enterprise and LICMC.net radio media mogul team, working with Irene, London, and crew, moving forward together.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
I can't breathe. You alright? I can't breathe. Are you
Hey Nino, you shouldn't have.
fresh air, please, for all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. We need fresh air, please, for all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. It's messing up our air. We got breathing stuff. 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 Too much carbon dioxide can make your insides lopsided. Rebreathing VOCs from automobiles, trucks, and DOTs. How much PM10 are y'all breathing in? Y'all have no idea what's blowing in the wind. Do I detect some PM 2.5? If you breathe too much of this, then you gon' die. We need fresh air, please, for all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. It's messing up our air. We need fresh air, please, for all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. It's messing up our air. We got breathing stuff. 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 We monitor the air, cause we gotta breathe this stuff. Big businesses don't care. We make them listen up. When the light is blue, we loving what we see. When it's red, mask up, hold your breath, don't breathe. Air quality index, AQI. We learning about what's in our air and learning why. In your industrial park, factories make pollution in the sky and stay dark. Whoa. We got breathing stuff. 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 We need fresh air, please, for all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. It's messing up our air. We need fresh air, please. remember our air. We need fresh air, please. For all of us to breathe. Pollution everywhere. And let's remember our air. Fresh air, fresh air.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.